Yo, what's up, guys? All right, let me share this. All right, so if you're gonna trade today, just make sure you have proper risk. I wouldn't recommend going in with heavy risk until 2:45. But we just want to see the first move. So let me just draw this right here. So normally what we are looking for, or what I look for FOMC, is this pattern. So either that and the opposite, and this would be on the 5-minute time frame. So either that, that, and that. So these are the two patterns we're looking for, either on US 30, gold, or EU. So this would be the first 5-minute candle. So it would be the 205. So whichever pattern they decide to take it. 205, and then we would want to see the retracement at the 210 candle, and then the 215 candle is where we would enter either the buy or the sell. But for this FOMCs, again, the move would normally happen at 2:35. So when Powell starts speaking, that's why I ideally would want us to wait till 2:45 or 2:35 to even think of entering a trade, because what will happen between now and 2:30, ideally, I see it as a bunch of fake outs, which has happened before, and 2:30, because literally the news can be bearish, but then when Powell starts speaking, the market just starts trending up. Also, I know we have 3 minutes. For you guys who are on the live session this morning, let me close that out. We did go over this analysis for US 30 over the last couple of years. So you can see in 2022, between May and June, US 30 had the mid-range because it had a high on January, low in October. So the mid of those two periods. So May and June. In 2021, July was the mid-range. In 2020, again, July was the mid-range. So you can see the idea behind me looking for sells right now during this time period through September, because traditionally I know that US 30 has gone down between July and September. So if you looked through that for the last couple of years, and I'll do this for the last 10 years. So I've already done the last 4 years. But if you look through that, you'll notice that in the month of July or June, US 30 has ideally sold until September, October, when it had then gone either to do the yearly low or the yearly high. So I do anticipate the sell, maybe not today, maybe between now and mid-August, the sell, and then continuation to the all-time high or the yearly high, probably in December. But we'll observe how this carries on for the rest of the year. So we have, what is it? 2 more minutes. So if anybody has a question, feel free to go ahead and ask. But if you're not sure about today, just go ahead and observe the market and see how it goes. But US 30, definitely the way it's propped up, it does have the ability to push all the way up. I'm still in the sells personally, because they were valid to me. If I get stopped out, it doesn't matter, so long as I entered using my strategy. Hopefully it spikes back down and holds this head and shoulder pattern. If not, then I'll just take the loss there. It's not a big loss, so that's fine. So we have ideally one more minute. So currently looking at this, we ideally have sellers here. We have this hourly bearish high and low. What I would ideally want to see is them spike US 30 to 35, 526, and then dump it. That would be my ideal indication for sell, because they would tap exactly at the hourly bearish high, tap that liquidity for the sellers, and then drop it. So that's what I would want to see happen. Ideally, this that I drew up for you guys this morning. And I think it's 2 p.m., right? Okay, there goes. And another thing I like looking at is this last signal on this. Okay, All right, let me just stick to this chart. So this is the 5-minute candle we are looking at right here. So we want to see which of these two patterns will this candle give us. And you can see it's not that crazy, right? So as I mentioned earlier, between 2 and 2:30, I really don't expect too much. So this, based off of what's happening here, unless this candle spikes up and closes above here, this is showing sellers are holding the price here, which is good because if you guys know FOMC, you normally have one crazy spike. So the way this candle is being held back, I can tell a bunch of sellers are holding this. So this is what I want to see for the sells I'm in. But we definitely want to see this candle closing. And ideally, I would love to see it close below this hourly bullish high and hourly bullish low. Let's see the others. Gold, you can see this trend line that I drawn earlier, right? So it's still a static, I'm sorry, a hanging trend line because we need another point, another high-low period. So I do expect this to be established as a high-low. So on gold, you can see this trend line is holding. So currently for gold, we are looking very, very bullish for gold because as much as this is a hanging trend line, you can see that it's holding price. EU is still holding that trend line. So ideally, if I were to trade anything, I would ideally want either to trade gold or to trade US 30. And I forgot to record this session, but it's fine. Also looking here for anybody who was on the live session this morning, I did talk about this trend line right here, right? We didn't want to see this trend line for anybody who was in sells or looking to sell. We didn't want to see this trend line being broken, this trend line to the upside. And you can see US 30 came up there and retested that trend line and closed below. So we want to see this trend line right here holding for US 30. So we want to see that trend line holding. If we do see an hourly candle close above there and we get a bunch of momentum, US 30 will should break that trend line, and possibly go to this trend line till somewhere in mid-August as we analyzed this morning. But we just need to see this candle closing. Right, so not too many sellers where prices, but you can see prices rejecting from the hourly bearish low right here. Hourly bearish low, 15 bearish low, 15-minute bearish low. Yeah, so this FOMC really didn't do much. 450 to 490. So that's only a 40 pip move. So nothing impressive happened during that release. Let's see what was released there. Federal fund. So ideally they kept it, what is it? They increased it by 0.2 previous forecast actual. So they increased it by 0.25%. All right. So we got that pattern, right? So the first candle is a bullish candle, this one right here. So based off of these two patterns, we got this pattern, the first pattern here. For gold, we got the same thing, the first pattern. For EU, if I reset this, we got the same pattern. Now, I'll go ahead and delete this since this isn't what we got. Now, based off of this, I would rather trade gold than US 30. US 30, I can, there's just something holding US 30 back down so far. So if I'm going to trade that pattern, I would rather move to gold at this point. So for gold, the only issue with gold right now, I wish this had already been established as a static trend line. So right now it's just a hanging trend line. So that doesn't help us with anything. Ideally, because I don't like trading hanging trend lines. So if I turn this on, I want to see what channel we're in, but I'm more inclined to trade gold than I am US 30. Okay, so we're in a downtrending channel, but we're still in a bullish environment. All right, looking around, we have the hourly bearish high, hourly bearish low. We have this daily bearish high right here. Yeah, so as much as I would like trading gold, I wouldn't trade it off of, as much as this trend line is holding, this might be a trade for later on in the night because I do not trade hanging trend lines. And by hanging trend line, I mean, it just has like one point of structure. So we need one of these candles to be established as a high low so that we can trade with an additional confluence of support using a trend line. So this, we might just have to wait till Powell starts speaking because I don't want to jump into anything for now. Yeah, but this FOMC ideally is a dud. For any confirmation of this particular layout, you need the next, now this 5-minute candle that we are waiting on, we need this 5-minute candle, whether it's on US 30, if you're looking to buy based off of this, or if you have other confluences that are pointing you to a buy, if you're trading this pattern, you need to wait for this 5-minute candle to close as a bearish candle. So again, I would prefer, to be honest with you guys, I would prefer trading gold based off of this outlook. But the only issue with gold is this right here. Let me see what zones we have. Yeah, for gold, as much as we have that, we have an hourly bearish high and low here, and you can see we have a bunch of sellers there. So yeah, it's just best at this point, just best to wait for the conference at 2:30. So I think that's when the actual better moves will be. And if that happens, I would want to see before 2:30, I would want to see gold get to 1977 and close above here, above 1977. All right, 22 seconds for this candle to close. Go to this one, just a second. Try. Okay, so that pattern has lined up with gold. Let me see how far this is, 1969, 65. I will enter into a buy on gold. This is just a 0.5 risk. Testing out this. I might trail this going forward. No. I just entered that buy. I'm doing a 50 pip TP and stop loss. I used the wrong thing. Is it there? Nope. 5,000. 5,000. So let's see. And ideally the low is below the wick, the previous wick, right? This wick right here. And ideally also would be below this hanging trend line. Again, for this trade, I'm only doing 0.5% risk. I wouldn't recommend you to do more than that. Ideally, because we don't have enough confluences for this other than using this pattern right here. And again, I'm more comfortable trading gold based off of that pattern than US 30. And I would rather save my leverage for when Powell speaks. So we have about 15 more minutes before that 2:30. So hopefully this trade is done by 2:30. Yeah, this stuff is too slow for an FOMC. So ideally what I would like to see the last 50 seconds, I need this candle to be, a nice bullish candle. I don't want it to start closing as a bearish candle. Because ideally, if it closes as a bearish candle, it negates this move right here. Because ideally with this move, this is the pattern that has played out like 80% of the FOMCs. So if this doesn't close as a bullish candle, I don't see a need of holding on to the trade. Again, keep in mind, I'm only doing, or I recommend doing 0.5% risk, ideally because we want to save the leverage till 2:30 or 2:45. So nice. see what the others are doing. So EU, holding on to that. All right, also watch for this trend line right here. What if we get a break and retest of this trend line to the downside, I will close that trade early. If we get a break and retest of this 200 DMA, I will close the trade early as well. Again, not too big of a risk, but still I literally want to save as much as I can till 245, where I may go in with bigger lot sizes. So June. And so ideally they've been increasing it by 0.25 every month. Okay. Gold is picking up a little bit. All right. To be honest with you guys, I'll close out this position. It's already 220. The conference starts at 2:30, so I do expect some spikes up and down before then. So I would say just set break even for this trade. Based off of how market is moving, I just don't feel comfortable holding this. So I can leave it there for you guys. Again, I'm waiting for a nice move at 235, 235, 245. So if you're in this trade, go ahead and set break even. But if you only risk 0.5%, I can leave it there to see how it plays out. But if you're in it, or if it aligns with any of your strategies, just make sure your stop is below this low. I just closed out of the trade. I only made like 60 bucks from it. So I'm not in this. The reason I'm not in is because we are 10 minutes away from 2:30 and you might see spikes in both directions. So price can literally do what it did here. Price can spike down, stop you out, and then spike back up. Yeah, so I'm not willing to go through all of that. So I'll leave the trade there, but this trade, or actually since I said break even, I'll just do this. So that trade ideally should be break even, and then we can focus on looking for other trades. But I would have loved if this was a high low, if this right here, as much as this trend line is being respected, if this was a high low, I would have held that trade. But if this is not a high low, they can easily drop this candle and come to either 1962 or come and test this trend line to the bottom. Remember, you always want to trade with static trend lines. And I've always said that in this during all my live sessions, that I never enter a trade based off of a what is it called, a hanging trend line. So if by later on today, let's say they spike up gold, I would be waiting to buy gold at this level, at any of these levels right here. So let's say this gets established as a high low, and later on in the night, I would wait for a retest of this trend line and then adjust my stop loss to be below that previous high low to avoid manipulation. So that's what I would be waiting for later on. US 30, US 30 again, still ideally consolidating. So for US 30, if you're in sales and you want to get off earlier, you would want to, if you see a break of this trend line or break and closure above this hourly bearish high, that's when you would want to close out your sales early if you want to cut your losses. Or if it closes, if we have a 5-minute closure, break and retest of the previous daily high up here, then you can cut any sales that you may have. So 3 more, what is it, 7 more minutes till 2:30. And you can see gold right here. So this is a static trend line. So for anybody who would still be holding the sell, this is what you don't want, right? You don't want a break and retest of this static trend line right here. You don't want a break and retest of the 200 DMA, because if price closes below the 200 DMA here in the next 50 seconds, this would mean gold is bearish on the 5-minute. So ideally, and this is why I didn't want to hold this into 2:30. And I'm still hoping this plays out at 2:30 right here. This move that I had drawn earlier in the morning, I want to see this hourly bearish high and low holding. So I would want to see a spike that goes exactly to 35,526, and then it drops down. See if I can. I want to see if I can set a pending limit here, a pending sell at 35,526. So ideally below that. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I'm able to set that. Oh, no. I literally just hit a buy. I was trying to set a pending sell. Let's see. This is why I don't like trading all these volatile markets. Let's see if I can still set. I don't know how to set the pending orders on this trade manager. All right, let me close out of that accidental buy I entered. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask. I might just have to use MT4 to set the pending cells. That is okay, so I haven't set it yet. I want to see what happens. So it's 3 more minutes. I want to see what happens around then. And luckily I was able to exit that accidental buy I hit. So watch for any weak rejection from this area, 35, 521. You'd want to see a perfect wick rejection. You don't want to see blasting through of this zone right here, because blasting through this zone would ideally mean blasting through this trend line, would ideally mean invalidating this trend line. And you can see for gold, as I mentioned, this is what you do not want or did not want. So there goes 2 more minutes. So let's see what happens. So this is the best time, in my opinion, to trade FOMC and not between 2 and 2:30. So again, same thing. Let's look for this pattern. Let me see if I can. No, I have to draw the thing again. Let's see if we can find this pattern during Powell's speech, whether it's this one, whether it's the first one or the second one. Let's see which one we find. You can go 40 seconds. All right, let's wait for the first 5 minutes. There's a reaction on the others. So ideally, no reaction. All right, we'll give it till 2:45. If by 2:45 nothing major has happened, then we'll just call it a day. I guess this would just be one of those FOMCs, even with the conference that are just don't have any liquidity in the market. So there you go. This would be the first 5 minute, and at least they're having volatility. So this would be the first 5 minute news candle. Again, next, same thing. We're looking for this patterns right here, this pattern or this pattern. So same thing we just did with gold, but gold ideally was out at BE. So if they close it this way, it looks like all these instruments will hop to the upside. So remember this, this right here is the last holding for the sellers, right? Around the previous daily high. So 35,550 to 35,497. That 50 pip zone is the last holding for the sellers. If sellers don't maintain price down here, the buyers will literally pump it up. And that's when I mentioned that based off of historical data, US 30 might hop up either till August, mid-August, or end of, so we're already at end of July. So US 30, if it does break this, it might hop all the way up to till mid-August. And then from then on, we have the retracement before the continuation to the upside for the rest of the year. So tomorrow. So tomorrow we have a bunch of news, of course, at 8:30, 10. Oh, yeah, this is such a boring FOMC, to be honest. All right, so there goes the first 5 minute candle after the 2:30 news. So looks like it's giving us this move right here. If that's the same on gold, yeah. So same on gold, first candle. It's not as bullish as I would like. So they're not as bullish as I would like to see. So yeah, to be honest, I don't see any. The only way I would re-enter this trade is if we get a break and retest of this zone. So, but I'm already out of that gold trade. All right, so watch this area, whatever happens here, right? So for any the sellers would need to get in anytime now. So if they do not, then that's it. And I'm guessing gold is pumping as well. So let me turn this on. Yeah, so you can see that's the last area for sellers to hold price down. Unless we get a bearish candle, it doesn't seem like we'll still get this any of this moves right here, because you can see the first 5 minute news candle was semi bullish. The next 5 minutes, it opened up as an engulfing bullish candle. So we didn't even get that retracement in any way. So yeah, all these instruments are bullish. So same thing as gold. So for gold here, again, I'm still not comfortable trading with this hanging trend line. I would rather wait till later on in the day when this is established as a high low. And then at that point, I can re-enter a gold buy based off of this particular trend line right here. But right now, I don't see any entries for gold or same thing for US 30. But US 30 is definitely bullish right now. So it's mostly favoring buys unless the sellers right now bring gold all the way, I'm sorry, bring US 30 all the way back down and close this as a bearish candle. But I don't see that happening. So there she goes. All right, yeah, based off of this, I don't see any trades that we can take either based off of this or something else. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask. I'll stay on for like 7 more minutes. But right now, I do see US 30 eventually going here, going till all the way up here for the, what is it called? Before the reversal. So before a nice sell on US 30 at this point, I might as well wait for the sell on US 30 here. Let's see. Yeah, US 30 is bullish. For the trades that I was in earlier on, so I just ended up the day at break even. Looks like I had some slippage because I had a sell and a buy, a sell and a buy. Ideally, because the sells hit stop loss, but the buys gave me back the profit. But I did have some slippage on that account, so I'm only down 1% on that account and overall 3%. So that's no big deal. So again, right, just one of those days. So that one for this account ideally ended up break even, but due to slippage minus 3%. So no other trades. The gold trade, and there goes US 30. The gold trade ended up at, for me, I got out at break even. I don't know if anybody held this trade. Yeah, but you can see how the markets play. What a day. All right. Any last questions from anyone? If not, we'll call it a day. If you guys are still trading, make sure to stay safe. To trade using any strategy, or make sure you have a strategy while getting in. For anybody who held on to the gold trade, would have gone to full TP. For me, I just didn't feel I didn't have the confidence I would have liked based off of the major red flag was this static trend line. But you can see, I'm sorry, this hanging trend line. But you can see it actually held. But for me now, going forward for gold, I'll wait for this to be established as a high low, and then I'll look to re-enter a buy on gold based off of the retest of this, hopefully to be static trend line with the stop loss below those previous lows. Any questions regarding that? All right, if not, hopefully you guys either caught break even today or secured or won this gold trade if you did not exit with break even with me. That's fine. There'll always be other trades. So going forward, what can we look out for? So we know that the days following heavy news or the days of heavy news, we normally expect some reversals. Now for US 30, this is one of the trades I also got stopped out of today because I was in this US 30 reversal on the 4 hour. So I'm not going to go on the at this point, I'm not going to go on the 4 hour, ideally because we pretty much probably have a new reversal that's going to start right today. And right now, my ideal area for US, in any case, right now, I'd be looking to buy US 30 based off of the break and retest of this trend line. So I'm not looking for any reversals on US 30 for now. This is my target for US 30. So if this is my target for US 30, the best area for me to enter would be on the retest of this trend line. And this, for those of you guys who are with me in the live session this morning, when we were back testing the data for US 30 on the last or during the last 4 or so years, we saw that. So for example, last year, US 30 had this high mid-August before the reversal and then continuation to close the year up. And then same thing in 2021, if we go to between July and August. So August 20th, we had this 35,730 to 34,463. So ideally a 1,000, what is it? A 1,200, 1,200 pip drop right there. So same thing in 2021. So if we go back to 2020 and look for that zone between July and August, we'll see that August 11th, US 30 dropped from 28,500 to about 27,365. Again, a 1,200 pip drop before they move back up and some ideally 2020 is ideally an anomaly for me because it was during COVID. But 2022, 2021 has the same data. I'm yet to gather the data on 2019, but I'm almost sure if we look here, you can see July, right? July 23rd, US 30 dropped until August 8th, and it dropped for 27,428 to 24,938. That's like a 3,000 pip drop. So historically, between July and August, you normally have that peak and then drop till like September and then recovery back up. So for me, I'll be looking to either catch a buy here on US 30. Ideally, I would want to see a break and retest. So I would want to see this hourly candle closing above this static trend line. And then I would want to see the next hourly candle retesting this trend line and closing above. And at that point, I can enter a buy. And then if US 30 gets around here, which based off of the time of the year we are in, so we are ideally the last week of July. So ideally mid-August, I would expect US 30 to get to this trend line. And then at that point, I would look to short US 30 heavily somewhere up here. So hopefully the ideology for that makes sense. All right. If there are no questions, I will see you guys tomorrow. All right. If you keep trading, just trade safe and use proper risk management. All right. Bye, guys.